Hello and welcome back to the Ain't Dead Yet podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by our official sponsor, Sun Life Organics. Love, heal, and inspire. Sun Life Organics is a juice bar that has locations all across the United States, providing only the highest quality organic ingredients. I love it. Personally, I go just about every day. My favorite smoothie is the Holy Cow. It's packed with 50 grams of protein, and it always helps me recover. Go find one near you. Another official sponsor of today's podcast is Noble Origins. Noble is a grass-fed beef protein complex, utilizing everything in the cow from nose to tail. It's personally my favorite protein. I like the vanilla the best. I like to mix it with raw milk. That is my favorite combination, but the chocolate is also amazing. I also had mentioned with additional sponsor, Sun Life Organics, that they have a shake smoothie called the Holy Cow. They also utilize Noble protein in order to hit that 50 grams in that shake. So again, go order it. Check them out, nobleorigins.com. Use code ADY for 15% off. Love y'all. Hello and welcome back to the Ain't Dead Yet podcast. We are pumped to have you here today. We have a return guest, Mr. Matt Ritchie. Matt joining us. He's in town this week here in Austin. He's been down in Houston for almost a year.
About 8 months now, yeah.
About 8 months.
Yeah.
So he's back up in Austin for work and seeing friends and connecting and networking, if you will. And so we had a window to get together, and anytime we have a window to get together, we try to capitalize on it. So, dude, I'm glad to have you back. We got a lot of shit to talk about today.
We do, man. I'm glad you got me back on, bro. I've been waiting to catch it up with you for a while, so it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, for sure, man. So first thing to kick it off, I've got to plug my sponsors. I got to plug Noble Origins. I don't have the bag in here because Meat Mafia, the Noble guys, decided to give it to somebody. So it's not my fault, but we'll plug it into the episode somehow, some way. And shout out to Sun Life Organics, of course, for the sponsorship. So appreciate them so much for giving us the opportunity to even have this platform and to talk about the things we talk about. Somebody you want to plug this morning, bro?
Yeah, dude, I'd love to plug in Ketone IQ, man. Company I work for, I run our specialty retail department. You're pretty aware of Ketone IQ. Ketone IQ is also a SKU we sell at Sun Life too, so nice little crossover there. But yeah, dude, great product, great, even better company, and glad to be representing them.
Yeah, so what's really cool to talk about with these, another like side plug. So before you were even affiliated with them, I'll speak for myself, I was abusing them. It's quite an interesting product, if I'm being real. Like I remember the first time I tapped into them, I was doing carnivore training for an ultra, and they were like, well, this is the cleanest way to get energy back into your system, to reset yourself, to keep kind of tapped in.
Yeah.
And I remember you being like, dude, Ketone IQ, man, dude, come on. And I was like, all right, dude. And I remember one day on the trail we ran together, and I must have slugged like 10 or 12 of them on like a 10-mile run, something like that. And every time we would come in for a loop, we'd slug like 2 or 3. And it literally fueled the entire run outside of water.
Yeah.
Which is incredible. I know that people listening, like, they might not be able to relate to this on a ton of levels, but someone my size burns through a ton of calories when they're out there running, just slugging on the trail, especially in the heat.
Yeah.
And for these to sustain me the way that they did in the heat over long distance, it truly speaks to the product. Like, it's real.
Yeah.
I don't plug shit unless I believe in it. I don't care if somebody pays me, how much they pay me. It doesn't matter. But I'll plug this all day. It's a good product, man. And honestly, it's really cool to see you now affiliated with a product that is this solid. Like, you can actually feel proud about promoting it.
Dude, it's so crazy you mentioned that. I've been thinking about that, and I talked about that with my team a lot, especially when we were at Expo West a few weeks ago. So easy to work for a company that has an exciting product that not only works, but has an awesome idea behind it. I mean, our CEO, Michael Brand, like he's always getting in the cut. He just finished the LA Marathon in a firefighter suit. So it's like when you see your CEO and your founder going out and doing things like that, it makes you excited to work for the brand. Not only that, but like I've been using the product for 3 years. I've only been working for the company for about 9 months. So to be able to get brought onto a company on a product that, like I was already obsessed with. Mm-hmm. Like I didn't have a whole lot of money when I started taking ketones, but yet I was still going to the store spending $34, $35 on a box, downing it in 2 days and going back and buying more. So to me, that's a testament to a product that really works. And not only that, but dude, working for a brand and a company that has a product that people can get excited about, dude, I barely feel like I'm working most days. It's I mean, don't get me wrong, it's tough and it's a lot of work, but it's the kind of work that you can feel proud of.
Yeah, I love that, man. I love that. So, we're gonna dive into a lot of things today. I think there's a lot to talk about, and I think that the reality of the situation is you and I can have a conversation around fitness. We can have a conversation around friendship. We can have a conversation around growth, challenges, and we can be vulnerable. And I think that those conversations will actually impact people going through the exact same things.
100%.
And I'm so grateful that we can have that type of relationship, because I'll cut straight to the chase. You and I haven't always been like directly aligned, same page, same vision.
Oh man, people have no idea, dude.
And we've battled, you know what I mean, and had our frustrations, and we've had it out. But there's this we've talked about it a million times. There's this deep brotherly love between us, where it's like you're like a lot of times like the little brother, where I'm like, fuck, just pain in my ass, you know. But there's so much love there. I want to continue to be the big brother and lead correctly. But there's also been times where I've been fucked up, dude, and need you, right? And that's even happened recently, where it's like I haven't been in the best place, and you've been able to kind of step in and be there and show up for me. So it's like I don't want to give off the wrong message that it's only big brother, little brother type shit, but I feel like you're my little brother in a lot of ways. So I think that we'll dive into that, but I think that in order to get there, we kind of have to like start the story back to where we recorded last.
Yeah,
I think that's important.
I agree.
So last time we recorded, you were working somewhere differently. You were like cracking into the corporate world, right? In that kind of realm of things. And you were having your experience there. And I remember we left here and we went and got lunch. I think I got steak and eggs. I don't even remember the name of the place.
I think it was Counter Cafe.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And we left here, we went and got lunch. And it wasn't long after that, like I went off into the trenches, dude. Like
you went deep.
Yeah.
You went deep.
Way off into the trenches. This would have been, golly, about a year ago, dude.
That had to have been same time last year, honestly. Maybe even like a couple weeks from now.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. That's wild. We got to look back at that date. I think that was about a year ago.
Yeah, and I'm almost positive it was, because I remember making a decision when I left lunch that day. I was like fuck, I need more. Like I got to do more. I got to be more. And I leaned into that probably truthfully for only 4 to 5 weeks, that stint. But in that 4 to 5 weeks, my life changed significantly, right? Between friendships, between the start of new relationships, new connections. There was just this big shift that took place in my life. And to be honest with you, dude, like I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. You know what I mean? I was like, okay, well, like is this God? Is this me? Is this whatever? Meanwhile, you're still working at the other company.
The freight brokerage?
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck that place.
And working wild hours, right? Like really, but you were really putting it in.
I was giving it a lot, man. Looking back, like I'm never going to regret pouring everything into something, because that's how you're going to figure out if you're going to get what you want out of it. But I was putting 10, 12-hour days, sometimes 13-hour days, to the point where I was burning the candle on both ends, dude. I started to move my morning workouts away to the afternoon, and then my afternoon workouts started going away, and then it turned into one of these things where I was waking up, going straight to work with like 30 minutes to spare, and then coming home, making dinner, taking Rainey for a walk, and then going to bed, because I was just burnt out. And yeah, I hated it. I figured out really quick that was not where I needed to be.
And it's funny you bring that up, not funny, but ironic, because I can go back to that. It hasn't been that long ago for me, honestly, where that was my life too. When we got our first contract with SCSI Austin,
yeah,
it was building a hospital down in San Antonio. And we hadn't made any money yet as a company. And they essentially wrote me a blank check and said, as many hours as you want to work, dude. And I was like, don't tell an addict that, right? Like, don't tell somebody who wants to build a business that. I mean, I would be there at 2 a.m., pour concrete till 7, then be with the cranes, pulling tables, whatever, until 5:36. Drive home in rush hour from San Antonio to Austin. Get home at like 9, scarf down some food, pass out, wake up at midnight, and drive right back and pour more concrete.
True. Damn, dude.
That was my life, dude. I don't think I've ever been so close to the edge again other than at that time.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's so easy once you're that burnt to just be like I remember a few times there was like a couple Fridays where everyone was like, dude, we hit all our pours this week. We hit all our marks on the schedule. We're all going to Little Woodrow's after work. Like, dude, come through, man. It's cool. Like, it's all good. Just come. It'll be fine. And, dude, I battled. I'd be like, fuck, no, I'm not going to do that. I wanted to bad. You know what I mean? I was like, you want to celebrate with the boys. You want to be part of the team. You want to fit in. You want to do what everyone's doing. And so I went through a battle at that point that I honestly hadn't really reflected on in a long time of stay in the course.
Yeah.
I was curious though, with you working like that, was it difficult for you to keep your course, like your head like in the right place?
I mean, dude, full transparency, I did slip up a couple times working at that company. Never to the point to where it was like bad, but there were definitely a few periods of time where the people I was working with convinced me that the one way to get through the job was to take this or this, and I'm not going to say any names, but that was one of the biggest red flags that I realized at that company that I knew was going to end up killing me if I kept going down that road. And I never let it get past 3 times, but it did get to a point where I was like, dude, like I can't go from where I was to this just for a paycheck.
Yeah.
Like that's not what I signed up for. And it's funny because when I realized that, I went to a higher up at the company I was pretty close with, and I asked him, I said, hey, like, I didn't say anything about the team. I just said, hey, I just don't think I'm thriving really well on this team. I was like, I think there's a few other managers I could work under where I'd do really successful. I just would like to be moved over if that's possible. And he told me, he was like, yeah, dude. He's like, let me see what I can do, and I'll get back to you in a few hours. Well, 3 hours later, I get called into the HR office with my manager, and they let me know that they were letting me go for performance reasons, which I'm like, that's bullshit, because I was booking the top 10 amount of loads out of a 25-person team. So performance, there's just no way. And I had the data on my laptop, but by the time I had already walked into the HR office, I told him I had the data to prove that my performance wasn't lacking. And he said they wiped it. Like he said, yeah, your laptop is already locked out. You can't get back in. So I was just like, honestly, dude, big part of me was like, awesome. Because now I have no choice but to leave and figure something else out, because I hated the company. I knew the money was there. I kind of wanted to make it work, but it wasn't working for me. So I took that as an opportunity to kind of readjust and figure out, okay, like where else could I try to plant my seed in a new career, which at the time I'd had nothing on the horizon. So.
Yeah, it's interesting in life, man. When you're supposed to let go of something and move away from something and you don't do it, God says, all right, dude, I'll rip it.
He'll do it for you.
I'll tear the Band-Aid.
He knows you want it enough, he'll do it for you.
I'll tear the Band-Aid. This is what you got to do. And I think that as humans, we have such a worldly mind at times where we see things like right here, right now, next minute, next hour. Sometimes you got to zoom out of that, bro, and be like, all right, this can't be the end of the story. It can't be. God didn't save you for that to be the end of yours.
Not at all.
God didn't save me for it to ever be the end of mine in any of these random situations we go through. But sometimes you need people to remind you of that. Sometimes you need God to remind you of that. But it really doesn't click until you can remind yourself that and believe it and understand it and really just grasp onto it's just another fucking day. It's just another fucking day, And if we're blessed, the sun will come up tomorrow. We'll see that. You can either stay stuck in that shit or you can say, all right, there's no better place to build than from zero.
Bro, no kidding.
Best place.
It's the easiest place to just pick something and say, all right, if I just do one thing, I've got better today.
Yeah.
As opposed to when you've got everything going, you've got to balance all of these things you're doing really well, and then you have to figure out which area can you improve in without harnessing the others. So I totally agree with you on that one.
Yeah. And again, if you don't reset yourself appropriately, God knows what we need, man. He'd be like, all right, I'll reset your ass. He might not use those words. You'll have to forgive me. I'm not the cleanest when it comes to biblical stuff, but it's what I believe.
Yeah.
And I think that what's interesting about you and me and other people in our circle or people that we know, there's this part of us that needs and thrives in adversity. Like, put me in a corner. I dare you. Put me in a corner and tell me I can't get out.
That's why we signed up for the 100.
I'm coming through the wall, dude. I mean, over it, through it, and then I'm going to come back and break it down so everybody else can get through it. Like, come on, you know? That's how I live. So the reality of it is, I think God knows that. And he's like, all right, I'm getting a little complacent here. This ain't you. This isn't part of your purpose. I'm going to strip everything away and make you see that so I can get you back in online. You know what I mean? Where you need to be. So I think that's what was happening for you. I remember, though, vividly when they let you go. And I remember the conversations of being like, dude, honestly, I was selfish in that moment. It's like full transparency. Brother to brother. I was like, the fuck's he bitching about, man? Fuck that company. That's where, right?
I remember, dude, like back in that time, there were a few moments where I'd like say something happened with this girl and I was upset about it. And you're like, awesome. Move to the next one. Fuck it.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, oh, dude, I just lost my job. Awesome, dude. Fuck it. Move to the next one. And like, as much as it pissed me off, it did do something because it did kind of instill in it took me a few months to realize it. And even if you didn't mean it, it did help me a lot because it kind of taught me to just buck up, dude. Like, I know how to buck up, but like in those moments when you really just want to feel sorry for yourself, sometimes it's just better to just say, all right, dude, there's nothing I can fucking do to change this. Nothing. The only thing I can do is just get up, keep moving, figure out a game plan to keep going, and just hope there's a better day around the corner. Because there always is. It's like an ultra. You have highs and lows, dude. But when you're in those highs, you enjoy them.
Fuck yeah.
Don't enjoy them too much because they're not going to be there forever.
Yeah, the bottom's going to hurt.
And the bottoms will hurt, but don't be too upset on yourself because next thing you know, you might get to 75, 80 and start moving at an 8:30 pace.
Yeah.
You know, so same thing with life, dude. Like, you're going to get knocked down. And I've just recently really understood this concept in the last year. You're going to get knocked down, but you're not going to stay down. Yeah. You're never going to stay down. The only way you'll ever stay down is if you quit.
Yeah. Or if you choose it.
If you choose, yeah. And I refuse to accept that my life will be anything less than what I want out of it. And I've made that decision a long time ago. And I'm blessed that God put that trait in me because I know I'm going to get where I want to be. I'm going to have the house I want to have, the family I'm going to have. I'm going to accomplish all the goals I want to go after. Everything I want in life, I'm going to get because I know I'm not going to quit until I get it. And it's really that simple, dude. It might take years. It might take 20. It might take 30 years. But, dude, there's beautiful stories of people who have worked their ass off and spent 25, 30 years in the gutter and then finally saw success. We know plenty of them, you know. So I hold on to those stories, and those are the stories that keep me moving.
Well, here's what I'll say, brother. Your growth and man, I've told you this in person, so like I'm not breaking the ice here on camera, but I've told you deeply, like, watching this version of you come to the light has been one of my proudest fucking experiences. Like, I love it. I love it because it was in you all along. Nobody that sets out to go Division I and makes it, like, you can't convince me that person doesn't have grit or fire. Nobody that sets out to do an Ironman and makes it, you can't convince me they don't have grit, they don't have fire. And it was like, there was times where I was like, where the fuck is that at? Where is it at in him? And I'll let you in on a secret. I know I've never told you this. Now, Brett might have told you this. I've certainly never told you this. Brett and I had a conversation offline.
Yeah.
About what was going on. And I was like, bro, I think it's going to be like, you're going to have to be the one to lift him up, and I'm going to have to be the one to just talk shit. And like, I'm going to come down hard on him, but you need to be there when he calls. And it was like kind of like good cop, bad cop thing, right? But it was out of love. It was like, fuck. And I had conversations with him. I was like, I believe he'll come back around. That's why I'm doing it. If I didn't, it wouldn't feel the same. It wouldn't be the same. And so we tried to work that groove. You know what I mean? Because I've known since the moment I met you, you were different. I meet a lot of people, dude. So do you. A lot of people I come across, I'm like, worthless. Just keeping it a buck, dude. Be like,
not worth my energy opening my mouth.
Fuck them. You know, hate to say it, but that's how I feel.
Yeah.
Never felt that way with you. The hardest thing in life, and I'm going through this very recently too, in different aspects of my life, but you see people and you see the potential in them, like it's there. They've got it. And all you want to do is like water that, so it'll fucking blossom into this beautiful arrangement or bouquet of I don't know the terms, but flowers essentially.
Possibilities. Yeah.
But you become addicted as an addict to making that happen. And at the end of the day, what I've learned over and over and over again, you can water the shit out of a seed, right? But at the end of the day, it's up to each individual to decide that they're ready to blossom, right? There's a part in the Bible, it's in Luke, talks about bearing fruit. And I actually had this conversation with Connor yesterday, so I'm not going to act like I read this verse and it stuck with me. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're having this conversation, and he's like, yeah, man, fruit tree's got to go up before it goes out, and that's when you bear the fruit. He's like, so you got to go up first, then you can go out.
That sounds like something he'd say.
And I was like, standing outside the gym, I was like, that's some deep shit, man. So I've been thinking about that a lot. But you can only go up when each individual decides that they're ready to go up, right? To see you in the place you're in now, given where I saw you 8 months ago, dude, it's incredible. But that's what's in you, you know?
You know, and I think, and I've told you and Brett this, but dude, I'm so grateful for how y'all pushed me during that time. And dude, like my family, my friends, like my other friends were like, dude, fuck those guys. Like they're assholes. They're not real friends. But like in my mind, I was like, but they're right, dude. Like they're fucking right. And like I was only honest with myself on that because it pissed me off because I couldn't find my grip with my feet. I was trying. I couldn't find my grip. You know, it was hard to get out of bed in the morning. I wasn't getting good sleep at night. It was hard to motivate myself to train the way I wanted to train. There were just so many things that weren't clicking, even though I knew I was capable of it. And it didn't really hit me until I was venting to Brett one morning, just on a rant, dude. Like I was going on one of my rants. And I was like, fucking Trip won't text me back. He's reading my fucking messages. I'm like, what the fuck is his problem? Like, that's my boy. Like, why is he not responding, dude? And like, you guys are like my brothers, dude. So in that period, especially when moving home, I didn't really have anybody to talk to, you know, in spring other than my parents. And like, I uprooted my whole community when I moved back to Houston. And not only that, but I was 12,000 in debt. Like I had all these things that I was trying to figure out. I just wanted my boys, you know, but you guys knew that the only way to get me where I was trying to go wasn't to coddle me. It was to kick me in the ass, kick me in the dick and tell me, look, dude, like, you know what you got to do. You just got to figure it out. And after talking to Brett and venting to him about that one morning, he wouldn't text me back. He goes, brothers, like, I love you, but you need a serious lesson on accountability and ownership. That fucking hit me in the heart like a Bowie knife, dude. Like, it pissed me off, like, really bad. But I put my phone down. I put my running shoes on. I went for like a 10-mile run, just pissed off, cussing to myself, thinking of all these text messages I was going to send you both in a group chat. And I got home and I was like, you know what, dude? Like, I'm deleting my Instagram, my Facebook for a couple weeks. Like, I don't want to read anything on social media. I'm just going to lock in. Even if it doesn't work, I'm going to try to just lock in. So I started going to the gym again. I started working out again, started running more. I went to the store. I got some healthier foods. I started to put better nutrients into my body. All stuff I knew how to do. It's just when you're sorry and down on your luck, you start to feel sorry for yourself and you start to go the easy routes with everything. Fast food, sleeping in, going for a walk instead of a run, which there's nothing wrong with, but for me, I got to run. So all of those little things I started to realize, like, and it comes back when you do that first thing. You know, you wake up at 5 and you're like, holy shit, I haven't woke up at 5 in a long time. Like, this is like fulfilling. Like, I can do this. Now I'm going to make my coffee. I'm going to go work out. You get to the gym and you're like, shit, I'm at the gym by 6:15. Like, I can't remember the last time I did that. So those little bitty wins stack up. And you come home, you cook yourself some eggs and turkey sausage and a sourdough piece of bread. Yeah. Then you eat that. You log into work. You have a great day at work. You're feeling good. You go for a run after work. You've now won a whole day. You're motivated and excited to do the next day and then the next day and then the next day. And not every day is going to be perfect. But for me, like, I knew the only way I was going to get to where I needed to be, I couldn't look at 5 weeks or a month or 5 months or a year from now because I had no idea what that was going to look like. The thing that worked for me was I had to make sure I won that day. And that's what they tell you in rehab. That's what they tell you in recovery. Just get through the day. Just get through bro, it's giving me chills saying that.
Me too.
Just get through the day, dude. You know, like I was talking to this person reached out to me on Instagram a few weeks ago, and they were asking me like how to get started working out. Like they said they just feel lazy. They're not motivated to do anything. They don't want to work. They don't want to spend time with their kids. They're just lazy. And I told them, I said, dude, do your laundry. Go do your laundry. Fold your laundry. And then when you're done with that, pat yourself on the shoulders. Maybe go clean your bathroom. Maybe go organize your desk. Maybe take the dog for a walk around the block. Stack little bitty wins, because every little bitty win you get builds that reward system in your brain and shows you like, okay, I can do that one little thing I was just complaining about that I thought I couldn't do. And next thing you know, all those things compile up and you've now got momentum to go after the harder thing. Training, working out, signing up for a race, you know, like planning your kid's birthday party, whatever it is. Everybody's got their own things. But for me, dude, you just got to win the day and just got to keep moving forward.
There's I don't know if you were a Mavericks fan or not. You
Dallas?
You like the Rockets?
Yeah, I mean, even though our teams aren't that good.
So when Luka got traded to the Lakers,
Yeah.
they had like a camera catch audio from one of their huddles, like pregame. And LeBron said to Luka, he's like, "Don't fit in, fit the fuck out." And like, bro, that keeps coming up for me. We're not. Look, man, I don't mean this in a cocky, arrogant, crazy way. People like you and I, we're not meant to be in that circle of everyone else. We're not meant to do all that kind of shit. Our purpose in life isn't to leave here and go grab a fucking mimosa and sit on our ass and talk about chicks and what the fuck. That ain't our purpose, dude. So anytime we do shit like that, we feel out of place. We get out of sorts. We lose our structure. We lose our focus. And then we beat the shit out of ourselves until we hit a bottom. And we say, okay, day one. For me, that was Saturday. I don't know today. What is today? Wednesday?
One day, yeah.
Saturday was my day one. And it's what you just talked about. It's that conversation you had with Brett. And it was a text I got from you guys. Like, and you hit me with it again Monday. Like, dude, it's time to sack the fuck up. That's for full transparency. That's what he said. Like,
hey, bro, I've waited a long time to be able to have the opportunity to say that shit.
But I looked at that shit and I said, this motherfucker.
It worked for me.
But I didn't hit you back like fuck. You know what I mean? I was like, I literally sat my phone down and I was like, all right, you want the vanilla gorilla? Watch the fuck out.
Hey, I told you I loved you first, didn't I?
You did, yeah. You're much better at the compliment sandwich than I am. Yeah, you're like, I love you. You look great.
And
I
I
love
was
your
looking
smile.
at it, I'm like,
go fuck yourself.
yeah, sack the fuck up, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you're better than that. But no, like, going back to your point, though, like, there's this quote my mom used to send me when I was really, really deep in the early stages of my addiction. I don't know who said it. It was one of those ones that somebody made on Facebook. But it said, when something happens, like, you can fall down, you can kick, cuss, scream, get pissed off, do whatever you want. You can do it for a day, a week, maybe even a couple of months. But you always have to get back to that badass you were supposed to be. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's word for word, but it's pretty close. And to me, that always gave me peace because, like, when something bad happens, people put a lot of pressure on themselves to bounce back immediately. Mm-hmm. You know, with heartbreak, loss of a family member, you know, traumatic events, like, you can't, I mean, you maybe can, but you can't expect to just bounce back immediately. Something happened in your heart and your brain that set off a chemical reaction that's putting you through pain. It's like an injury. You can't just tear a hamstring, tear an ACL and expect it to be good tomorrow. Mm. You just have to take it one day at a time and let those things heal. You know, and for me, like, I've had many stages in my life where I sold. I let the pain eat me up for a few months, a few weeks, you know, thought about it, processed it, figured out what I needed to learn about it. But going back to what we talked about earlier, like, you always have to get back up and keep moving, because if you stay down too long, then it's only going to get harder to get back up. Like, what's that quote? They say the trip to hell is super fast and easy, but the ticket back to heaven is a lot more expensive, something like that.
Yeah, it's just a longer road.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the same concept, you know, like, the faster you bounce back, the easier it'll get back to get on track. But if you stay down too long, it'll be harder, but that doesn't mean you can't get back. The whole point being is you always have to make sure you get back to who you know you're supposed to be. And that's, I hate to say it's simple, but it really is that simple.
It's simple. It's not easy.
It's simple, not easy.
We talk about that all the time on here. Like, sobriety is simple as fuck. Don't drink, don't use.
Yeah.
It ain't easy. You know what I mean?
Definitely isn't.
So, like, it's the same concept, though. And what I'll say is this, like, for the people that listen that are like, man, this dude Trip or this dude Matt or whoever's been on the show, like, they've got it figured out, man. They're bad motherfuckers,
Not
whatever.
even close, dude.
Dude, there's still a child inside of me, just like everyone listening. There's still that little kid that, like, wants to be seen, wants to be heard, wants to be loved. It's just real shit. The other thing with these injuries we're talking about, mental, emotional injuries and physical injuries. Bro, I broke my rib, I don't know, 2.5 weeks ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Cracked a rib, cracked my shoulder blade.
Damn.
Running like a dumbass. Like face planted and just like I knew as soon as I did it. Waited a week, went and got x-rays, confirmed. Great. Awesome. My point is this. I know it's there. So what do? Right? This is the athlete in me. This is how I'm wired. All right, I'll just work what I can. I'll work the dog shit out of everything else that I can right now. And when this heals, I'll be good. The fact that we can't look at mental, emotional injuries like that is insane, right? You really think about it. Okay, you're going through a heartbreak, loss of job, traumatic event, death, whatever. The problem, the challenge is there's no timeline on that shit. That's what I see. Dude, you break a rib, I know. All right, 4 weeks, I'll be clicking.
I think the biggest problem with the reason why people don't heal fast, or the reason why they think they're supposed to heal fast mentally, is because majority of people, when you tell them you're going through something, most people don't have empathy.
Right.
Most people are like, oh, you're going to be okay. You know, let's just go out, have a few drinks, or let's go for a run or whatever, and you'll get over it. You know, most people, and when they're in a good place, hearing somebody who's going through something bad, it's a lot easier for them to say, oh man, you know, you'll be okay. Like, you're going to be all right. Just like I was with you the other day. Like, I know what it's like to hurt, but I don't know the pain that you're feeling because I've been in a really good spot for a few months. So though I do empathize with you because I have been in that place before, and I've built that skill over the years because I like to know what people are feeling and I like putting myself in their shoes. A lot of people aren't capable of that. You know, that's why, like, I stop venting to a lot of people when I'm going through stuff. I've got my few people I talk to, and that's it. Most people aren't emotionally intelligent and capable enough to hear people going through stuff and be able to offer the thing that they need and help in order to get through it. And that's where I think, I mean, dude, I'm not some psychologist or philosopher or anything, but I really do think that's one of our downfalls of society is our lack of being there for each other. Everybody wants to be there and pat you on the back and maybe go take you for a drink or lunch or dinner and say everything's going to be okay, but nobody really wants to be there.
Well, here's why I think. Very few people walking this earth will look something dead in the face. That demon, that devil, whatever it is that's hurting you. Whatever the situation is. Doesn't mean a person is a demon or devil, but the situation. Most people won't look at it for what it is. If you really fucking look at it for what it is, it's going to burn, dude. You know, it's going to hurt. That's kind of the point, right? And that's the place that I've gotten to is like, no, that's the season we're in. I'm supposed to go through whatever I'm going through, feel what I need to feel to prepare me for what's next. Life is nothing but preparation. Every day we're here is preparation for another opportunity. I'm a believer. Therefore, I believe that God doesn't put anything on your shoulders you can't handle, and he's using it to prepare you for something he has for you, right? But to your point, the reason I believe society is, for lack of better terms, fucked on so many levels is people backfill with distraction, right? It doesn't matter if it's, you know, coping with a death, a heartbreak, it doesn't mean any situation you can fathom, you can dream up. The first thing people want to do is, like, friends, especially, like friends, right? In air quotes, intentionally. Like, come on, like, let's just go out, like, let your hair down, like, let this out, work through it, you know, go sleep with someone, do the, you know, whatever. You're not fixing shit.
You're just putting a Band-Aid over the problem.
And guess what?
Yeah.
One day, that Band-Aid is going to get ripped off. And it won't be by you because you refuse to do it. It's going to be by God. And guess what? You're going to feel all that shit. So my approach to it is like, no, let me feel it right now. I've done the Band-Aid shit. Did it for 30 years. That was a hell of a Band-Aid to take off the day I got sober. And it was, I mean, like bottoming on a level that I can't even fathom or try to explain to anyone. Like it just was.
Yeah.
So now the way that I process different things is like, all right, I'm going to like, if it needs to suck for a day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, great. Let it suck. But in that suck, I'm going to find my structure, right? I'm going to find and do the things I know I need to do, especially when I don't want to do them, because I know that that's what's going to bring me back to who I'm supposed to be. My life is so simple when I'm at my best, right? And people will be like, well, that sucks. No, it's pretty great for me. Do what you want, but it's literally God, purpose, fitness, my health, right? And then my circle. That's it. There's nothing else. Fitness obviously is inclusive of nutrition, rest, all the shit. Like, don't people be like, oh, sleep's not important. Shut the fuck up. Yes, it is. It's part of my fitness, right?
Not everybody can get 4 hours like Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Right. And fitness isn't just physical fitness. It's mental, emotional fitness. You have to exercise all of those things. So I say all that to say, if you're in a place where you're struggling, shed the bullshit, all of it, and get back to the root of it. Can't go up without the root. So the root for me just happens to be God. It happens to be purpose. It happens to be fitness. And it happens to be my circle. And it's in that order, which means if my circle falls apart, I still got the top three, right? The circle is honestly the only thing that is out of my control. That's why it's last. Right? Philosophically, you're going to be more mentally fit, emotionally fit, physically fit, and secure if the things that you can control are the priority. There's very little.
Yeah.
Right? It's your faith, your connection with the higher power. For me, that happens to be God. Number 2 would be your purpose, leaning into that. And number 3 is how you take care of yourself. Everything else is up to the wash, dude. You don't fucking know. You're like everyone has a different life, bro, different path. And God's pulling everybody, devil's pulling everybody. You don't know where the fuck everyone's going to end up. So stick to your shit, right?
Hey, I'm laughing because I just kind of came to this conclusion like 4 months ago where I was like, dude, if something happens to me that I'm not happy about, fuck it, dude. Like, whatever. You know, like I was talking to this girl and we went out and it didn't go as planned and she never texted me back. And I was like, usually in the past, I'd be like, oh, like, why didn't she text me back? Like, maybe I'll text her again. And I was like, nah, dude, fuck it. Like, whatever. You know, like I got in an argument with my dad one night and usually I would let that beat me up. I'm like, fuck it. I'm just going to go for a run, whatever. And granted, there are some things you shouldn't have that attitude with. But for me, it's just like, dude, I'm tired of wasting my energy on things that don't or aren't going to make me better.
Yeah.
You know, like if I upset somebody, yeah, you know, I'll eat that pain and I'll deal with that. But for the most part, like if I'm in pain or if I'm going on a run and something hurts or if I don't get something that I want out of a certain situation, dude, fuck it. Like if I can't change it, it's just, dude, like why am I going to spend energy on it if I can't change it?
Yeah.
The only thing I can change is my action forward.
Right.
You know, how do I react to it? And I've got a long history of not reacting to things in a healthy way.
Mm.
And that's one thing I've tried to dive into in the last 2 years is like, how can I take the things that life throws at me and approach it in a way where I'm going to get better, you know? And that's why I love the 100-mile distance. That's one of the biggest lessons I learned during that race is like, and hear this out, I came up with this a few days ago because I've been really thinking on it a lot. Like, what is it about these races that hooks people after going through so much pain? And it's like my knife attack or some of your worst nights in your addiction, some of my worst nights in my addiction, some of our best moments. Like all of those moments are chaotic, good or bad, and they go by so quick. So you don't get a chance to navigate them until they're over. And a lot of times it's just a blurred description of what actually happened, and you're trying to piece together so you can navigate what it is you want to learn from it. But in an ultra, you put yourself in those same states, oftentimes at mile 40, 45, or 50, and you're in that state for a long time. So you can navigate those things. You have time to think about things you've been through, lessons you want to find answers to, who you are, what you want to be, things that you've been trying to figure out answers to your whole life. I found answers to in 23 and a half hours, and that's what I think makes these races special, among other things. But it allows you the opportunity to tap into a place in your mind that you can only earn to get there, and a lot of us, we go through things in life that, like I said before, it breaks you down or it's chaotic and you don't really get a chance to navigate until it's over. In a 100-miler, you have 7, 8, sometimes 12, 13, 14 hours to navigate those thoughts.
31.
31. Well, what was it, 31 and 45 or something like that for Brazos? Something like that.
31. It was 31, 41 and 31, 38 or something like that.
Yeah.
So either way, it doesn't matter.
But it's like in between the pain and the adrenaline and the delusion, and it's like I was telling Matt yesterday, we both agreed, like, yeah, the pain is there and it hurts, but it also doesn't hurt in a weird way. It's like,
yeah, it's an interesting thought.
It's a really weird thing because, like, you're delirious, you're out of it, you're kind of high in a way, you got a lot of adrenaline, and it hurts and it sucks, but it's also awesome because it's like, this is what I asked for. This is the position I wanted to find myself in. Like, I didn't give a shit about the first 50 miles of the race. In fact, I thought they were boring. Like, I hated it. I was like, dude, just get me to 50, 55, 60. Like, I want to know what's on the other side of those legs. And that's where all the lessons were. I prayed to my Nana. I prayed to God. I asked him questions. I said, give me wisdom. Like, I learned things about myself by persevering when the pain was unbearable. I learned that when the pain is so bad, walking hurts, running hurts. Just run and you'll get it done over with. Like, there's so many different things I've learned about myself out there that you can't just learn into your day-to-day life.
I want to lean into the race, but before we tap into that, because we'll go way too deep too quick, let's rip a shot of ketone.
I'm so down, bro. You're reading my mind.
I want a caffeinated one, though, and you've given me
They're both caffeinated.
Oh, okay,
You want
even
green
better.
apple or peach?
I like peach.
Peach?
Yeah.
Dude, I've been a green apple guy.
Yeah.
Dude, I actually got, full disclosure, I think I've got the go-ahead from Michael Brandt, but we've got 3 new flavors coming out.
Oh.
Beginning of Q2, yeah. So we've got no caffeine raspberry lemonade, caffeine raspberry lemonade, and no caffeine green apple. So those are all coming in new packaging, fully rebranded packaging. These are going to come out in new packaging. It's a whole new remodel.
Yeah, I'll shut up. Cheers.
Cheers, buddy. To the only shot we'll ever take together.
No shit. All right.
All right, game time.
I think it's time to click into this 100-mile thing.
Let's do it.
So here's how I want to start this conversation. You've known me to attempt these 100-milers for 3 years, right? You've been a part of that. We've known each other that long, which is insane when you really look at the blur of things. It's like, holy shit. You've known that it's been like kind of a knife in my back, like that I walk around with, of like, fuck, again, I gotta go again. So we ran a lot of training runs together, a good amount, right? We got to like be around each other through a lot of that experience. But what was special to me before we get into Rocky was that you showed up to Brazos, which was my first 100-mile finish, right? And that was an interesting weekend in itself. And I learned more about myself in that experience than like I wanted to be honest with you. I don't think I was ready for the download of like everything that came in. It's like, holy shit, like, okay. And the craziest thing for me in that experience, like finishing that race, was like, I still don't have all the answers, right? I'm like, fuck. So now I know I have to go back and do Rocky. Like, because originally I was like, you know what? I'll do Brazos and like one will be good, man. Like, that'll be fine. And I sat in that for a few days and I was like, shit, dude. I'm going to have to go back.
Nothing about that redemption race, dude.
It's either this year or I put another year in, right? And I'm like,
Ain't doing that.
fuck that. You know what I mean? Like, I want to do other shit. I want to lift weights. I want to lean into my business more. People don't understand the time it takes to really, really, really train.
Yeah.
And so you were at Brazos. We got some good time together there. You got to see me really the back half of the race. It was about when you showed up, and I remember the last lap coming through, and you'd ran out with like a Red Bull and a bunch of other shit out on the course. Like, here, man, I think we shotgunned a Red Bull.
Yeah.
And when we finished, you brought Tex. You know what I mean? And that we got to have that whole experience together, which was great.
Yeah.
But that led into a much greater experience, which was Rocky. So
what an epic weekend, dude.
Holy shit.
What an awesome weekend.
You know what the two things pre-race and that had nothing to do with the actual adventure itself of the race that I learned in both of those circumstances? The things I thought I needed to be successful, they weren't there, right? The things I thought I would have to have in order to really push through, they weren't there in body, right? I had my boys around me. And, like, I realized in those moments, like, this is what the fuck matters. And what matters is who's here right now, right? Like, right now, who's here. That's what matters. That's where the effort and the attention needs to be, not anywhere else. So we get to Rocky. Both of these races are somewhat close to where you're at or where you're at for now. And so we had this badass Airbnb. I think AJ found it, right?
That was a nice Airbnb,
dude. It was sick.
That was very cozy, especially with the amount of people we had there. That was nice.
Yeah, it was awesome.
A lot of room for everybody to just kind of be where they wanted to be.
On the water.
Plenty of kitchen table to flop all of our training shit onto.
Yeah.
Like it was sick.
It was perfect.
Yeah.
And dude, I'll be straight up with you. I remember the night before the race. We'd obviously got there, I think 2 nights before, bullshitted. The next day we checked in, did that whole number. Like, we had the Pro Friction guys were there, which were great. Griffin, AJ, Isaac, AJ's buddy, me, you. There was only 3 of us running, though.
Yeah.
And I always get stressed in those situations when there's 8 people and 3 running. You also had your buddy from Moab.
Matt Romanchuk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we had Jimmy, and then we had Brett.
Brett, yeah.
What a squad.
Oh,
dude.
shit, yeah. It's like
we had
a lot of people.
Squad, dude. That was a good lineup.
So, but I get nervous around that because I'm like, bro, like being a former athlete, I need to be around people who are going to lock the fuck in. When it's time to go, like 12 hours out, 24 hours out, I don't want to be around no bullshit. The beauty in that crew is everyone understood that.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, all right, we're going to enjoy dinner. We're all right. Everything's good. All right, lock the fuck in. Like, everyone got their space. Everyone did their thing. But I remember the night before, you were sitting there with compressions on. I can't remember exactly what the fuck we were all talking about, but you're like, yeah, dude, fucking sub 20 stretch goal. I'm going to go under 24 for sure. And I remember being like, he's so full of shit. Like, I was like, he has no idea. He has no idea what the fuck's about to hit him in the nose. Like, no clue. That was my thought. But I even remember telling people, like, afterwards on the side, I was like, if anyone can do it, it's him. And I hope he fucking does it. But holy shit. Like, he doesn't know. That was what was going through my head. The other thing that was going through my head was probably a little bit of projection, like, what the fuck am I going to do? Right? Like, holy shit. Like, I just did Brazos in 31:41.
Yeah.
With 19 minutes to spare. And, like, people are like, oh, 19 minutes is a lot of time. The fuck it is when you're talking 32 hours. 19 minutes is like a mile, right?
Dude, yeah, in a good case, especially if your hip flexors aren't working, your knees feel like a guitar strings. I think that's what you told.
Yeah, Griffin.
Yeah.
Yeah, he grabbed my leg and he's like.
I didn't feel that until the next day, trying to go up the stairs, lifting up my right leg.
Yeah.
That's when I was like, oh, shit. Like, if I lift that up too quick, that's snapping.
Everything's breaking.
Yeah.
So I remember that, though, and I remember being like, oh, shit, dude, am I going to fail again? You know, I'm going to, like, this is just what I do here. Like, you get all the, like, people will be like, oh, you must be so mentally fucking just locked. And I'm like, no, I still have weakness. You know what I mean? I still have moments where I'm like, you ain't worthy of that shit. You're not supposed to finish that race. Yeah, all that shit can creep in.
Yeah.
AJ helped a lot because his energy was bright. You know what I mean? Yours was bright because it was ignorant, to be honest with you. Right? It was like, you didn't fucking know. So you're just like, yeah, dude, I'm gonna fucking shred this shit. Like, and I was just be like, fuck, dude. And then AJ's just bright because he's nervous, but he's also like, I wrote his training block. So I knew it was in his body.
AJ, bro, he was so funny. Like he's just so fired up. Like,
Yeah.
I love that energy, dude. Like,
Fired up.
especially, I've never seen somebody get introduced to endurance, like those kind of endurance sports that soon and just be all in. Like, dude, I think we got texts from him every day, like 5:30 in the morning, cold plunging, eating beef and eggs with sourdough daily.
Yeah.
I was like, bro, like, I respect it. I can never hate on somebody who goes all in like that.
No, and really how that transpired is insane. I met him, again, blessings through challenges, right? I met him by way of another connection. We went for one run in the mountains back home, and we're running, and he said something about, like, you know, these ultra things are like, they're kind of interesting to me that you do them. I was like, fuck it, dude, come to Texas. Like, come to Brazos. You could pace me, dude. I was like, we'll figure it out. Like, let's do it. And he's like, all right, dude, let me talk to my wife. And like, it was that night, he was like, I'm in. He comes down, paces, PRs. I think he paced like 30. He
Like
paced a 50K.
3, yeah.
And I'm like, all right, well, that's a fucking big PR, right? To go, people don't understand, marathon to a 50K is a fucking jump.
And then a 50K to pacing somebody in a 100-miler for a 50K.
Right.
I think that's what he didn't think he was signing up for.
Right.
Because whenever he was telling us, like, what kind of pace y'all were going to be running, I looked at Brett and I'm like, does this motherfucker know that he's pacing somebody that's already at mile 60 of a 100-miler?
Yeah.
Like, Tripp ain't going a 12-minute pace right now,
No,
bro.
no.
Like, it's going to be stop, go, piss, shit, stop, go, back and forth.
Oh, dude, I laid in the middle of the
Like,
trail numerous times.
Yeah,
Just
and-
lay, and he's like, bro, come on. I was like, I'll be there.
It's
Just
like people don't understand the part of pacing. That's the hard part of pacing. I didn't understand that when I went out to Moab to pace Matt 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I thought, I was like, dude, we're just going to be trail running in the mountains. Like, fuck yeah. Hell no, dude. It's
No,
like
you're-
15, 18-minute paces. You're walking, like, your body wants to move, and you're looking back, making sure your pace is good. Like, you got to make sure they're okay. You have to make sure you're not pouring too much energy into them because you want to make sure their head's right.
You're more of
But
a therapist, actually.
Exactly. And you gotta understand your runner, dude.
Yeah.
That's what me and Brett were talking about because, like, we know how you are with these long runs. You don't like to talk
No.
at all. Like, even yesterday during the Morning Joe's run, like, I was like a chatterbox at the beginning, and then I was like, oh, shit, like, I'm running with Tripp. I got to shut up.
Yeah.
Like, he just likes to be on his own. So, like, that's when me and Brett were like, dude, like, we didn't tell AJ because you got to learn those things on your own, bro.
Yeah.
And whenever I picked him up to take him back to the Airbnb after I dropped Brett off with you, AJ got in the car, and I looked over at him, and he just sat there like staring. He goes, dude, I'm so tired. I'm like, you good, bro? And he was like, looked down at his legs, and he had the craziest goosebumps. I have a picture on my phone. The craziest goosebumps on his leg. He was like, that was hard. So I took him back to the Airbnb. He showered, and then he was good after that. But it was just funny, bro, because like when people experience those things in these races, that's the kind of experience that shocks your body.
Oh, yeah.
That shocks your body into feeling something. You know, it's like
well,
finishing my first half Ironman in Galveston. I finished 7 hours, 20 minutes, bro,
Yeah.
for a half Ironman. I was one of the last people to cross the finish line. They were packing up the tents, and most of the bikes were out of T2 whenever I got in. So, like, but that feeling of crossing the finish line shocked me because it was a lot different than I expected.
Mm-hmm.
But those are the kind of experiences that forge your body and your brain into thinking, like, I can do so much more.
Today's episode is brought to you by our official sponsor, Sun Life Organics. Love, heal, and inspire. Sun Life Organics is a juice bar that has locations all across the United States, providing only the highest quality organic ingredients. I love it. Personally, I go just about every day. My favorite smoothie is the Holy Cow. It's packed with 50 grams of protein, and it always helps me recover. Go find one near you. Another official sponsor of today's podcast is Noble Origins. Noble is a grass-fed beef protein complex, utilizing everything in the cow from nose to tail. It's personally my favorite protein. I like the vanilla the best. I like to mix it with raw milk. That is my favorite combination, but the chocolate is also amazing. I also had mentioned with additional sponsor, Sun Life Organics, that they have a shake smoothie called the Holy Cow. They also utilize Noble Protein in order to hit that 50 grams in that shake. So again, go order it. Check them out, nobleorigins.com. Use code ADY for 15% off. Love y'all.
What people don't understand is like, I think it's the numbers are something like this, and I'm sure somebody on YouTube will correct the fuck out of this, but I think it's less than 1% of society has ran a marathon, right? You get to the 100-mile distance, though, it's 0.00005
Of all humans who have walked the earth.
Yeah.
That's the crazy thing.
So what people don't understand is you want to see somebody at their rawest, purest self, go fucking dump them off mile 80 in the middle of the night in the rain. You'll find out who somebody is at their core. Like, who are they really? You want to know if somebody's an asshole? Break them off. They'll be a big asshole. You want to know if somebody has like a genuine, loving, caring heart? Break them off, right? That's why I do it, because sometimes like you can let your ego get so big, you can put a bunch of muscle on, you could do whatever, but you forget, like you just covering up this weakness, right? What's really at the core? That's why I went back. I wanted to see if I'd grown. And so either way, back to the night before leading back into the race.
Yeah.
I remember I was like, fuck, dude. I was struggling with some other shit. I was like, dude, I need to sleep. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, this is the worst. I haven't slept for shit in 4 days. Like, what are we going to do, dude? And you're like, dude, try this. I do this. And but I knew. I was like, I'm not going to fucking sleep. And I was like, he ain't going to sleep either.
I got nothing, dude. Nothing.
I knew, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
People don't talk about that. The difference in a 10K or a half marathon or a marathon or an Ironman, bro, you ain't sleeping before that shit. You ain't. That's part of the race.
And you know what the crazy thing, bro, is like me having done so many things like this before, I knew better, bro. I knew I wasn't going to get sleep. And even I thought I was going to knock out like a baby, bro.
Yeah.
I rolled around all night long. I rolled around, an hour went by, I looked over, I'm like, fuck, I'm only going to get 6 hours tonight. Oh, fuck, 5 hours tonight. Like, oh, shit, I'm only going to get 4. And then I get down to 3 and then 2.5 hours. I'm like, fuck, dude. And then I think I blacked out for like 5 or 15, 20 minutes. And I wake up again. It's an hour and a half before I got to wake up. And like, bro, I could show you my heart rate that whole night, bro. I was like, I could feel my heart thumping while I was trying to sleep. And I was like, dude, like, fuck. Like, it's one thing to know you're doing a half Ironman or an Ironman or a marathon. You'll be done 12, 14 hours at the most, you know? But for 100, I'm like, dude, I'm not going to sleep again until maybe Sunday night. like this is going to be a long day. But,
it's a long weekend.
But it's like, I thought about this during the race, dude. Like, anytime race conditions, anything is perfect for me, everything perfect, I don't do as well.
Right.
Because I get comfortable. You know, I do better when things turn down. Like, my best half Ironman performance was Ironman Waco. I did a 4:42. Dude, I got on I knew it was a 50% chance of rain. And I prayed with my aunt the night before. I said, Lord Jesus, like, give me some rain. Because I knew nobody could ride the rain like I could on the bike. I knew it, bro. I ride in it all the time. That's one of the conditions I can just thrive in. So whenever I got on the bike, I got 2 miles in and it started pouring. I was like, let's fucking go, dude. I took my visor off of my aero helmet and I hit the aero position, and me and this one guy, we just fucking dusted. I probably passed 200 people. I got up to 4th place at mile 55, crossing over the bridge. I ended up crashing, sliding 30 feet, getting back up, getting into T2, transition, got on the run, and then finished in, I was probably about 30 feet away from qualifying for World, which sucked. But still, like, great performance, but because the conditions were shitty, you know, and it's like in a 100-miler, I love that because I was in pain. I was broken. My knees were hurting. Like, I was dehydrated. I kept throwing up. I couldn't put food down. But it was like, in those moments, I love figuring out how to get through these things. That's all ultra running is problem solving.
Well, there's no perfect in an ultra.
Exactly.
That's why it's so fitting. You can have a perfect 5K, right? It's so quick, 20 minutes, right? 20 minutes can be great.
Dude, fucking 5K, bro. That sounds horrible.
But they suck. I'll tell anybody that.
They suck,
They're
dude.
horrible.
We were talking about this last night, me and Brett and Harry. I was like, dude, I would much rather run for 5 days straight than do a 5K or a 10K all out. Like, I like the slow, short, painful suffering that gives you time to think about stuff, navigate stuff, and then...
I wouldn't make that trade.
Oh, really?
Fuck no. Here's why.
So you wouldn't run for 5 days and do a 5K or what?
I'd do the 5K.
Oh, okay.
Like 5 days.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just crazy.
Maybe, but...
I will in October. We'll see how that goes.
So, like, it's more... For me, it's more like... I don't think I was meant to finish those 100-milers until I showed up for the right reasons. And I say that because, like, the first...
That's powerful. That's powerful.
Yeah, the first 2 I showed up was ego. It was like, I'm going to show these motherfuckers. Doubted me. Watch this shit. That's how I did for the Ironman.
Yeah.
But the 100-mile distance isn't an Ironman. I get that question a lot, too. What was harder? It's not even fucking close, right? Like, for me, like, the 100-mile distance is way harder than a fucking Ironman. For me.
Yeah.
Like, the swim was never hard. Probably because I'm buoyant as fuck.
Like floating in there like a leopard seal.
Yeah, the bike, like, you just, I don't know, it's just there. You're just riding a bike.
Yeah.
The run sucks, but, like, if you get in, call it 7 hours, right, from the bike and the swim, that leaves you 10 fucking hours to go a marathon. It's 2.6 miles an hour. You walk that. So, to me, that wasn't the same. But you can't go 100 miles, 2.6 miles an hour and finish an ultra. You ain't gonna make it. You're gonna miss the cutoff. So for me, it was always harder. It's longer, not just in distance, but in time, right? It's a different grind. There's no change. There's no like, oh, let me try it. Let me get on my rollerblades and do that for a little bit. That'll feel nice. It's just a fucking slugfest. So like, but until I learned to show up for the right reason, that's when I was able to really carve into this like next layer.
What was that reason?
It started last April when I was home talking to those kids. And like at the end of those speeches, like there's always like a line of sometimes 2 kids, sometimes 20 kids. But one of them came up to me and was like, he's like, hey man, what gets me through every day is going on your Instagram and seeing that you logged 10 miles. You logged a workout.
Damn, dude. That's enough.
And I was like, I had 2 feelings in that moment. One, immense gratitude. I also had this feeling of, fuck. Like, you know, because I knew what it meant. It meant like, okay, I have to do something.
Yeah.
Because if not, I'm letting these kids down. So I made it about something bigger than me, right? It wasn't about me anymore. I was just a vessel. But it became bigger than me. Once I got to that place, I was able to get to a different layer of pain, a different layer of acceptance, a different layer of understanding. But I thought after Brazos, I was like, all right, I know what this shit is now. I know where I'm going to have to go, what I'm going to have to feel. I didn't have a fucking clue, dude. Got into Rocky. Same. So like, we don't need to talk about the first 50 miles, to be honest. Like,
I had a lot that happened during the first 50. I wouldn't mind sharing, but yeah, I mean the race, obviously, everybody knows. You just want to get to 50.
A lot happens, yeah. A lot happened for me too, but I didn't grow a lot in the first 50.
Yeah.
Like I'm just being real. Like I was like,
I think I learned more about the ultra distance past mile 50.
Absolutely,
100%.
Well, I learned more about life past mile 50, which is why we're here to talk. Like,
yeah.
Talk about like, yeah, I was dehydrated. Yeah, I threw up. Yeah, I cramped. Yeah, I busted my ass. Yeah, whatever.
I mean, that's all the first 50 was really, because you got the heat to deal with. But like after that, I mean, the night shift the weather doesn't really get to you much unless it's extremely cold or rainy. So the night shift is more so it's just a grind fest.
Yeah.
And I honestly thought the night shift was going to be spooky, to be honest with you, but I loved it, dude. I fucking loved it.
I didn't.
I mean, it was just gritty. It was delusional. It's like, I felt kind of trippy. Stuff was moving. Like me and Griffin were just fucking chopping shit, laughing. Like I'd kick a root and be like, oh, fuck, that one hurt. Let's kick another one. Like I don't need my big toenail anyways. It's like, that's like, you get so into it at that point. Like it's not so much, at least for me, it wasn't. It didn't feel serious anymore. It felt like, dude, I'm just out here with my boy in the middle of the night. I'm at mile 75, 80. Like we're just crushing miles. Like
I didn't feel that way.
That's fun. Yeah.
I didn't feel that way.
I loved it.
The first 50, so I can recap the first 50 in like 2 sentences. The first 50, all I was thinking about was the next 50. Like, that's it. Just get to the fucking halfway point, and then let the games begin. Right? Because 2 for me, I'd done that race twice before and hadn't finished it. I'd made it to 60, I'd made it to 65. So honestly, I didn't give a fuck about the first 65. It's like, doesn't matter. Like, I have to get there. I've done that on a way worse body.
I was gonna say, after so many times, like your mind's already ready to just get past 65 so you can see what's next.
Just put me there.
Yeah.
And so but I remember coming in at 20, I'd been puking all morning. Got it. Great. Sweet. Fucking go back out.
Who needs it anyway? Just get it out.
Yeah, it's bullshit anyway, right? Like, you're going to use what you need.
Yeah. Plus, at that point, your body's going to take what you put in and feel it, and whatever's left over is going to get thrown up anyways.
Yeah, you're tapped in.
Not sure what the physiological aspect is on that, but
It probably isn't one. It's probably just what it is. I don't know. But at 20 to 40, same thing. It's like, all right, we're leaning. My goal is to get 50 by dark, right? And for me, what that would look like is like sub 12.
yeah,
Right around that.
right around 6 p.m.
Because what that leaves is, call it 18 to 20 hours to do the back 50.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, great. The course was in much better shape this year, right? So that ain't an excuse. The course was in pretty damn good shape overall, in comparison to what I'd experienced the year before. So I knew going into it, I was like, you ain't got no excuse, dude. There was nothing I could be like, oh, it's this, it's this. It's like, nope. Like, there's no turning back. I only saw you a couple times. Like, we didn't, because you were faster than me, one. So, like, we weren't going to come into 8 at the same time.
I think the only times we saw each other were when our path, like those little one-ways where we were passing other runners. Yeah.
And so I saw you. I was on my greatest memory of our passing out there, though. I was on miles, we'll call it 78. You were on 98.
Yeah, I was like, I could smell the hay in the barn, bro. I was cooking.
You were
But I was
lapping.
looking for you. That's all. I didn't tell you that, but that's what me and Matt, like, that was one of the things that was driving me towards the end was, one, I was about to finish. And 2, like, I knew you guys were up there somewhere.
Yeah.
I was like, I just need to see Tripp and Brett, because if I see them, that's going to give me the boost I need to just take this bad boy home.
Yeah.
And then I saw Brett's like ugly ass blue hoodie from behind. I'm like, that's definitely Brett. And then I see you, and I'm like, I can't even remember what I said, dude. I think I just said, like, you're crushing it, baby. Keep fucking going. And
Yeah, you said you're going for sub 24, and I just said, fucking eat, bye.
oh yeah, that's right. I was like, I'm going for sub 24, baby. I'm getting that buckle. And then you're like, go get it, baby. And then that was it.
That was it. But I was probably from 70 to 80. I was like, I'm fucking done. I'll come back next year. I was like, I got to 80 this year. That's great. I'll come back next year and fucking, we'll do 85, 90. I don't know. Eventually figure this shit out. And, dude, it was weird when I came in at 80. I don't know where you'd already left or some shit, dude.
Dude, bro, dead ass, dude, I could not move a toe. Like, I was like, bro, I tried to sit around and sit there, dude. So when I got to the finish, like, my leg gave out. Like, I just fell over. Like, I tried to stand and walk it a little bit, but I could not stand. Like, I literally asked my body of everything, and it gave me everything. Now, I laid down. Griffin and Jimmy, like, kind of, like, talked over me. I sat in the chair, and we hung out for, like, 5 minutes. And then they were like, you need help? I was like, nah, I got it. And then I was like, oh, fuck. I was like, I don't got it. So they helped me up. They walked me to the truck. And I sat in, and I was like, well, I want to see Tripp. And then I tried to get out of the truck, and then I fell out of the truck. Like, I could not stand on my feet. I was like, dude, like, I got to go. Like, I don't know if I can hang around here much longer. And then AJ was supposed to drive me back, and he was sitting in the truck, and he was like, hold on, I'm going to go grab something. Leave me in the truck for like 45 minutes. I'm like waiting, like texting. My phone was dead, so I couldn't text anybody. So I'm like waiting for somebody to come back to the truck, and I'm like dehydrated, hungry, exhausted, in pain. I was like, oh my God. And then eventually Brett and Jimmy drove me back to the house. But whenever they went back to go watch you finish, they tried to help me out of the house to get me to the car. But dude, I just like could not move my legs at all.
Yeah.
I've never experienced that in my life, dude. I literally felt paralyzed.
Dude, it's funny. I haven't told you this. I was clinging on the fact that I was going to see you at 80.
Damn, bro.
Because I was like, all right, like, he's the only one here who knows what I'm feeling right now. Like, I was like, I got to see him. I was like, if not, I'm definitely fucking pulling it.
The
Fuck
only
this.
reason I was cool with leaving is because I knew Griffin was there.
Well,
and I knew Griffin wasn't going to follow.
I can
was
tap
like,
into that,
well,
too.
and that's what I asked Jimmy when I was in the truck, because I was deciding on if I was going to stand. I was like, who's all here right now? He said, well, Brett's with Trip. AJ and Ian are about to go do something, and then Griffin's around here somewhere waiting to help Trip out for his last lap. I was like, all right. I was like, good, because nobody's quitting if Griffin's right there, bro. He's not going to let you quit. And even then, like, he didn't even have to tell you you're not going to quit. Just feeling his energy and his belief that you can do it just rubs off on you. That was one of the reasons why I wanted him from 60 to 80, because I knew that stretch was going to suck. Like, I picked all my pacers strategically. Jimmy from 50 to 60 because I just love talking with him, and I didn't want to push him on 20 miles, but I just knew I would need his energy for that first pacer. And then Griffin, 60 to 80, obviously. I mean, you know Griffin. You've spent some time with him out there. He's good energy. Like, I knew that would be a great person to start the night shift with. And then easily, decision was Matt Romanchuk for 80 to 100, because I was out there with him when he finished Moab 240. I can't quit a fucking 100-miler and be a bitch next to somebody who's finished a Moab 240.
Right.
That was my whole strategy with that. And
it worked.
I mean, dude, it's like you and I said before with these races, like, it's all about the crew. It's all about the crew. Like, I really don't think, I mean, you can probably do one of these races without a crew. Many people do, but it makes the experience so much more better, because it's a teamwork thing. You're all working together. I wouldn't have gone sub 24 without a crew, 100%. No doubt.
There's no way.
There's no doubt.
But to your point, like, again, though, I was like, I'm looking forward to Matt.
Yeah.
And you were gone. I was like, fuck. I was like, I'm definitely.
Damn, bro. Way to make me feel bad. You never told me that.
I was like, I'm definitely pulling the plug. Fuck this. I'm going to go home and chill with everybody. Everybody's done.
You could have just stuck with me when no, I'm fucking.
No, fuck that. But I was like, I'm good, man. I'm tapped. And, but again, Griffin, like, he's like, just sit down, dude. It's cool, man. Just sit down. So I sit down. He just starts like,
acts like you're just 15 miles in. No big deal.
just starts slamming on my leg, dude. And he's like, but I knew it was bad, because like he is that super positive energy. I knew it was bad though as soon as he grabbed my leg, and his eyes just went like, fuck. Like, he was like, oh fuck. Like, there's some shit happening in here, dude. Like,
I could see Griffin's facial expression.
yeah. I was like, and I remember looking at him and be like, told you. Like, I told you that shit was fucked up. Because he saw me come in at 80, and my whole right leg, I couldn't bend it.
Yeah.
I was just swinging it. It looked like a fucking peg. You know, I was just swinging it. And, but he worked on it either way. And I've talked about it on here once, but after he got done, he's like, all right, dude, we got to get you back out there. Like, you got to go. I was like, oh, dude, I got to go to the bathroom real quick. I'll be back. So I got to hobble up to the bathroom. And the greatest transitions in my life have occurred in bathrooms.
Dude, could you look in the mirror?
I went in there and
you see yourself.
the mirror popped up, and I was like, do you really genuinely believe that you're willing to die for this purpose? Yes or no? If the answer is yes, you got to go the fuck back out. If the answer is no, then pack it up and go home. You can tell everybody that your leg was fucked up. They'll believe it. You can get x-rays to prove it, MRIs.
That's that bargaining system in your body.
And it was just like, nah, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to die. That was, I mean, you have to be willing.
Dude, I think people like laugh at me because we talked about that same thing the night before the race. Like, I'll talk about that with my family, and like, I love the reactions because they'll just look at me like okay. But like, I don't want to die. But dude, like, I do these things because, like, I mean, the chances of you dying during 100, not very likely. Chances of you dying during a 240, not likely, but possible. You know, like, the possibility's there. But, like, when you fully accept within yourself that you're totally okay with whatever happens out there, it makes it easier to go all in.
Well, what you're really doing is
You're preparing for that pain.
You're accepting God's plan.
Yeah.
God, if you really believe, right, you're going to go when you're supposed to go. Regardless, right? Skydive without a parachute probably ups your chances, dude. You know what I mean? But like, God, I think is like, he's like, no, and that's the piece I made with it. My purpose is bigger than this race. I'm not going to die here today because he's got more work for me. I know that. My work isn't done.
Yeah.
So that's what gave me the confidence to be like, fuck it, let's ride, dude. You want to take me? Go ahead. And what more honorable way to die, right? That also popped up in my head like, man, what happened to Tripp, dude? We saw he passed away. Oh, dude, he died
during a 100-miler.
93 of a 100-miler. What's anybody going to say?
That's a badass obituary,
right?
guy.
Like, what's anybody going to say? Like, oh, man, what a bitch. No. You know what I mean? You don't have to worry about it. So it's like, I'll die out here. For me, 80 to 100 is much easier than 60 to 80. 60 to 80 sucks, I think. I hate that stretch.
See, 60 to 80 was actually probably one of my best stretches. That was when I was with Griffin. I think you and I talked about this, but that was probably one of the most spiritual moments of the whole race for me. Because when Griffin picked me up at 60, I mean, I was in pain. Like, I was in pain, but I was moving. You know, I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to run again, but I was like, at least I'm moving. Like, I can finish this thing. I've already got a lot of time made up. Like, I'm good. So I start moving out of the aid station, and Griffin said, I'll catch up with you. And he was like, just try to get moving. So I get about a mile in, and I'm like, dude, like, my hip flexors won't work. My knees won't work. And 2 days before we got to the Airbnb, my aunt gave me this gold necklace. That was my Nana's. And she passed away around this time last year. And we talked about this on the podcast last year. She's like my best friend, dude. Mm-hmm. We talked every day. She was the first person I called with good news, first person I called with bad news. And she always listened. The only person I could share stuff with, she just wanted to listen. That was it. Didn't always have the advice I wanted to hear. Didn't always have anything to say. But she wanted to listen. And I knew I was going to need her out there. This was just one of the many things that I prepared for mentally to get me through the race. It's that toolbox I was telling you about. Yeah. That mental toolbox. And I get to mile 1.5, 2 miles in, and I prayed. I held my necklace. I looked up to God, and I looked up to my Nana, and I said, like, Nana, like, if you're there, like, please, like, give me some wings. Like, I know you're with me. Like, we've talked about doing this race for years. Like, I'm finally here. I'm in the pain cave. Like, can you give me some wings? And then, bro, like, right there, I don't know what happened. I heard Griffin coming up behind me, and I heard his feet moving. I was like, all right, like, let's go. I just took off, bro. We were moving at like an 8:30, 9-minute pace for the next 15 miles. And we were running with this guy that was in front of us. And Griffin was like talking with him. And turns out he was the guy that was in third place overall for the 100-miler. And we were just cooking with him. And like, I felt great. I had no pain. My stride was the best stride I've had in months. Like, I was just cruising on this trail. And I was like, I don't know how long this is going to last, but I'm riding these wings until I can't anymore.
Right.
And then I kicked a fucking root. And my hip flexor got all jacked up. And then that was the video where Griffin was like kneeing on me at the aid station trying to get my leg right. But at that point, I was like, dude, I had made up so much time in that 15-mile stretch. And not only that, but just that whole moment was just, that's why I do these races.
Yeah.
It's not the first 50 where it's up and down, you're running, but you're kind of in pain. It's not the dark moments or the really great moments. It's just that one moment in the midst of a huge race, 24-hour race or a 240 where nothing matters and you're just flying.
Well,
no
you know,
pain.
here's what gets uncovered, dude. I think, to your point, 60 to 80 for me is always the shit. It just is.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, all right, here we go. Like
for you, because of your past with 100 miles,
right.
I can understand that.
I'm like, here it is, dude. And it's dark usually at that time. Temperatures cool off. All the shit starts happening. Can't see worth a fuck. Headlamps are dying. Whatever. You just the list goes on and on. Brazos has started raining. Whatever. 60 to 80 sucks for me. And you get in your feels, dude. Right? You're like, oh man, you know, it's horrible. I'm hurting so bad. It's the worst. What I always learn during these things, and it happened this year between like 80 to 89, that stretch. I was leaving aid. And Griffin's like, this is your pace. This is what you got to stay under, dude. If you don't, just don't even go out there. He's like, but I gave you something special in your bottles. That's what he told me. I was like, all right.
Bro, anytime Griffin puts something special in your bottle, you're in for a rude awakening.
It was Red Bull and Tailwind, dude. It was Red Bull and Tailwind. And I hit that, dude. And at that point, we did that next 9 miles, 13 to 15-minute miles, which for me is cooking that fucking mile 80. And I was like, dude, this was in the tank the whole time. You had this in the tank the whole time. You just didn't burn it. Right? And it's like, oh, shit. I was just being I was being a mental midget, really, at the end of the day. And then, you know, you get to 90 and you're like, all right, all I got to do to finish is this. And you just accept, like, okay, at that speed, the next 3 hours is just going to blow. It's just going to be what it is. And you're just
I don't even look at the watch, bro. I stopped looking at my watch after 2 hours in.
Well, the only thing I look at on my watch is cutoff, right? Especially at that point. Because, dude, what would bottom me out more than anything is if I missed a cutoff by like a minute. You might as well just like go back out and find a bridge. You know what I mean?
Like throw yourself in with the cinder block tied to your feet.
Yeah, I'm done, dude. So like that's why. I really don't look at it until late. But I don't know about you, man. I saw your experience and your finish. It was obviously on tape. I saw the collapse. Yeah, I'll rip another one.
Yeah, another ketone.
Yeah, sick, dude.
I'm sucking air over here, bro. Shit. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers. So, I don't know about you, man, but what I'll say is this. I saw your finish on tape. I saw the emotion, right? I saw the collapse. I saw it was like special.
Oh, bro, it's getting me emotional just thinking about it, dude.
It was special. I literally crossed it and I was like, this ain't it. Again. Right? That's happened to me numerous times. It happened to me at Ironman. The finish line didn't mean shit to me. The mile before the finish line meant a lot to me.
That's usually, yeah, that's where a lot of my emotions came out too.
Because it's that moment of like, unless God's got something crazy up his sleeve right now, like we're gonna do this. We made it. And then crossing the finish line, everyone's like, you know, and I'm just like, all right, I'm fucking hungry, right? Like, you know, next.
I think like I hear your point though, because you told me after Brazos, like, because I was wondering why you didn't cry.
Yeah.
And you told me, you're like, bro, because I had nothing left, no energy, no emotion, no nothing. And like I cried at the end of my finish line, but it didn't last long. It was like 15 seconds of like Nana, like we did it, like holy fuck, like a quick recap of everything I've ever been through the last 4.5 years or 3.5 years of not racing or towing a start line. I forgot I was capable of these things. So that was why I did the 100 the way I did. I was like, I wanted to prove to myself that I could still do these things. I felt like I'd grown weak. So I needed to finish that 100 to prove to myself that I could still do these things.
Right.
So like that's where the tears from the finish line came. The tears like you were talking about, that last 3 before the finish, that's when everything was starting to hit me. Like I was just crying under my breath and dude, I try not to get emotional. I just remember telling Matt, like, I was like mumbling under my breath, like Nana, like we did it, like we're doing it, like we're fucking doing it. And I was just talking to myself, like not intentionally. It was just like I was like, it's so weird how to describe it. Like I was talking to myself like I would talk to like my kid or my dog. Like I was telling myself, like, dude, you fucking did it. Mm-hmm. Like you did it, bro. Like all those times when you thought you weren't worth it, you wanted to take your life. All those times when you felt like maybe just going back to do drugs was all that was out for you. Like just telling myself, like, bro, like, sorry, bro.
You're good.
You're capable of so much more than you think, dude.
Yeah.
So much more than you think. And to finish that 100-miler, bro, like I look at life so different now, dude. Like I used to wake up thinking like, can I do this? You know, can I make my workout at 5 a.m.? Can I get through this hard work day? Can I handle this stressful situation? And since doing my 100-miler, I've gotten to a point to where, like, dude, every challenge I face, bro, like, I'm taking it head on.
Yeah.
Like, nothing can fucking stop me from going after what I want to go after because I put myself through hell and I pull myself back out. And I've done it time and time again. And I think that was that one time, that last time I needed to tell myself, like, all right, we got what we need. Like, we're going for everything we want now. And that's just, God, dude, I hope more people can experience that in their life, dude.
Well, that's to be completely vulnerable with you, and I haven't shared this with anyone. That's what I expected, and it didn't happen. That's why it was so empty for me. Like I was like, well, fuck, that doesn't prove it to you, dude. Right? Like it wasn't enough, and that's hard to say. It just wasn't. It was like, I expected to have that same elation of like, I can do anything.
Yeah.
It didn't hit me. It still hasn't, right? That's the case. It's like, no, this is great, man. This is wonderful. This is awesome. But there's something else. And honestly, the other thing about finish lines that I hate is there's a finality to it. I get emotional the last couple miles because I'm like, fuck, this is it. Now what? Right?
Moab.
Well,
For me, at least.
Yeah, well, I've said for a long time, the only way I'll put my body through anything remotely close to what it's been through over the last 3 years, there's 2 races. Maybe 3, right? But it goes Leadville, Badwater, Moab.
Badwater, man. That's
if it's any of them 3, I'll break my life off for a year to go do it. Like, I'll put everything into it. But I'm not gonna go run the fucking Keys 100. I damn sure ain't going back to Rocky. Fuck that place, right? Like, I'm good.
Yeah, Rocky was a great first race, but I think any other 100-miler or anything more, I mean, doing Moab in October, but if I ever do another 100-miler, it's going to be a mountain race.
Yeah.
I want to see shit while I'm out there, dude.
Yeah.
I love looking at those videos. I was talking about this with Matt yesterday, like talking about periods when he did Moab where the pain went away. Because we all have those moments during races where it's like the pain just weirdly goes away for even if it's just 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And I was watching this video on Instagram, and it was a trail runner doing UTMB, and then or Mont Blanc, one of the two, and he was running along a ridge line, and I like to call it sky surfing because you're on the ridge line, you got a high peak, you got mountain ranges on both sides, beautiful weather outside, and you're cruising, and it's like that is what I want. That right there is why I think people do ultras. It's for those small moments where you just feel like you're just floating with the surroundings. It's an adventure. It's not even a run. It's an adventure. You're exploring something new. You're putting yourself through a stressful situation. It's just something beautiful and powerful behind that. And I told Matt, I was like, because when we got to the top of Shea Mountain, that was about 12,500 feet, maybe around like mile 132, 134 for him. And the sun was coming up. Like couldn't have timed it better. And we get to the top, and he's like, hey, Matt, I just want to sit here for like 5 minutes. And I'm like, dude, let's do it. And we didn't say a word, bro. And he just stood there and just looked around. I didn't say anything. I didn't ask him what he was feeling because I knew. And this was one of those moments where he was recharging. Yeah. He was realizing why he was there. He was realizing why he did these things. And I kind of felt that in Rocky, but I want to feel that in Moab. I want to experience that.
There's no recharge at Rocky or Brazos.
You what?
There's no recharge at Rocky or Brazos.
There isn't, yeah.
You're just in it.
But it's like in Moab and those mountain races like Mont Blanc, UTMB, Western States, like Tahoe 200, Bigfoot 200, all those races, you find yourself, especially after climbing for 5,000, 7,000 feet for hours, and you get to the top and then you can finally get that breather and you look around and you're like, holy shit. Like, it doesn't matter how much pain I'm in. Like, this is why we do these things.
Right.
And I thought after doing 100, I'd be like, whew, man, I'm good. Got that knocked off. I'm done. Bro, I want more, dude. Right after finishing that, like the feeling I got, like showed me I was right where I needed to be. And I had a spiritual moment, a God moment for why I decided I wanted to do Moab this year. So right after the race, I made my Instagram post a few days after, and got a lot of comments. And then Candace Burt, the lady who founded the Destination Trail and created all the 200-mile races, she's a beast, dude. She climbs like 14,000 foot peaks daily in Colorado. She's a savage. And she commented on my post and liked it. And she said, it's like, wow, like this is incredible. Thanks for sharing the vulnerability. More ultra runners in the community, including myself, know exactly how you feel. And to me, that was like a connection moment with somebody else in the space who understands what I was talking about in my post. Not everybody's going to understand. I get people all the time to say, why the fuck would you run 100 miles? It's so hard to explain it for people who don't get it. You don't even try, but she did. So we connected a little. I sent her some ketones. And then that's when I started to really think about Moab. I've always had it in my head. I thought about it after Matt finished, and it's always just been there. Like, I watched all the documentaries on YouTube from everybody who's done it. Like, I'm obsessed with it, dude. There's something about it. It's just a beautiful pinnacle race for ultra running. And I messaged her when I was on my way back from Anaheim. I told her, like, is there any way I could get into Moab this year? I respect the lottery. Like, I don't want to intrude on anything. I was like, but if I can, I was like, I would love to, whether it's for a charity or whether, you know, we sponsor the event or whatever. Like, I want to be able to do this race. Like, I need to, I have to, and I want to do it this year. And she told me that she's going to be able to get me an entry. So that for me, it all worked out that way. Like, if I had just decided I wanted to do it, it probably wouldn't have felt as organic. But the way so many things lined up tells me, just like my 100 going to see you in Brazos told me I needed to sign up for Rocky and do it.
Yeah.
The little moments, you could listen to them or you could not listen to them. And I'm tired of not listening to them. I'm taking them and I'm running with it.
Yeah, you have to. And I think all these things, these little things you're talking about, they're just redirections. And sometimes they don't have to be like 90-degree turns. It might just be like 1 degree, 2 degree, 3 degree shift, right? To get you in alignment with what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And so it's about having your eyes locked on a destination for sure, but you need to be flexible with the path, right? Because sometimes, I mean, God might take you over here a little bit to avoid something and then bring you back. You know what I mean? You have to be able to maneuver. And I think that what's interesting about, you know, your story, the things that you've been through is like, yeah, now it's easy to look back and be like, fuck yeah, it all makes sense, dude. It's all God. There was a million moments in there, though, that you were like, what the fuck? Are you shitting me?
Yeah.
Oh, I got to leave Austin, right? Oh, I got to go through this interview process with this
We should
company.
talk about that, how that played out.
Yeah,
That's
we
also
should.
another
We
good
got
story.
14 minutes. I think it's worth tapping into.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Oh, yeah, you go.
I'll give you my version, short term. Job falls apart at the brokerage, right? You're like, fuck, dude. Like, I'm gonna go through this. Like, I'm gonna find a job. I'm worthy of a job. I'm worthy of a good job. Ketone IQ process like spins up, right? I'm hearing it all through Brett, not you, right? Because again, I was invested. It just wasn't like I wasn't gonna be there to like rub your ass, dude.
Yeah.
But I still would be like, hey, what's going on with Shorty? Like, what the fuck's he got going on? And he's telling me, and he's like, dude, he's in my ear every day about this job. Like, he wants it bad, man. And I just want to, you know, show up for him and like, whatever. And then I get a call from him. He's like, dude, he didn't fucking get it.
Bro, this was after 2.5 months of interviews, 600 applicants down to me and one other guy for 2 more interviews over 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And like, I was like, bro, like I didn't have that. All my eggs were in that basket. I had a few jobs that I was considering that I had offers from. They weren't what I wanted to do.
Right.
And I knew if I ended up going there, I'd end up leaving eventually. So that's why I wanted the ketone job. Like, it was the one job I knew I could dive into and be so passionate about it. I wouldn't even feel like I'm working most of the time.
Yeah.
And they give this guy the job. It's funny as shit, bro. Like, I hate it. I'm laughing because it's funny. They give him the job. 3 weeks later, he quits because it was too much. So they call me on my birthday and offer me the job again. And the whole way this played out was, originally, if I had gotten the ketone job, me and Dom were signing a new lease, and I was going to stay in Austin. And my rent would have been like $1,900 on top of bills paying for somebody to watch Rainey while I go out of town. My expenses would have been through the roof on top of trying to pay off debt. So the way I think it played out, I think God didn't give me the job when I wanted it, because he knew that if I didn't get the job, I was going to officially commit and accept that I had to move back to Houston for a few months. And once I accepted that day, bro, I get a call that I get the job from Ketone. And Dom had already signed with a new roommate. So I was like, well, fuck. I was like, I guess that might have worked out the way it was supposed to. I don't know. I was just happy I got the job. Ended up moving back home. And dude, it worked out for the better, bro, because there's no distractions in Houston. Like, I didn't have any friends in Houston. Like, it was just me, my family, and my dog. So it really, really put me into a place where I had to think about a lot. I had to think about what I wanted out of myself. I had to think about what I wanted out of this job. I had to think about, like, just what I wanted out of life. I had to rebuild myself. I had to start working out again. I mean, I was working out. I wasn't training the way I'm used to training. I had to lock back in again. I had to decide if I wanted to go after a 100-miler again. Like, all these things I couldn't navigate when I was in Austin because I was so distracted by everything that was going on. And not only that, but I was getting tired of Austin, bro. Like, I was like, I love this city, but it's so annoying. But you spent 8 months in Spring, Texas, and then you come back. It's like, dude, this whole city is like a blessing.
It's incredible.
It's incredible. Like, I know that they used to think people in Austin were just corny and dorky and just like children in a way, you know? moving back to Houston, I realized everybody's depressed. They're overweight. They're not healthy. They don't take care of themselves. They don't really do anything other than go to the grocery store, sit at home, watch TV. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's not where I want to be. That's not how I want to live my life.
Well, that's my hesitation. People always ask, why aren't you living in Austin? Because I like getting reminded on a daily basis when I go home that I love it here.
Yeah.
It's 40 minutes, right? But it's a daily reset. Because what happened, similar to you, I lived here, and I took it for granted, dude.
I did too.
And you realize now when I go home every day, I'm like, damn, okay, the networking, the connections, really what it's about at the end of the day is who you're spending your time with. It doesn't matter where you're at. If you're spending your time with people that aren't growing you or like shit that doesn't align with you, it's going to be turmoil, period. I'm not saying that was your situation. I'm saying that's been my experience.
Well, it's like yesterday at Sun Life, dude. Like, you and I are obviously spent the morning together, but we weren't planning to meet at Sun Life. And I pull up to go for a meeting, and I see you walking by, and we chatted. And I look over, and I see Dom sitting over there chatting with somebody. And I'm like, dude, this is why I love Austin.
Yeah.
Like, you see people you love and care about on a day-to-day basis without even planning it. You see people at Collective or Squatch or Cosmic Coffee or like just everywhere. You're going to bump into somebody you know. And almost everybody here, at least in our circle, they're working towards something. So, like yesterday, bro, from the time I woke up and we met at Joe's, like I was with somebody talking or working and talking to somebody at work or communicating with somebody that would walk up at Sun Life, like all day. Like in Houston, the most I'm used to doing is working out in the morning, then going for a run, working all day, getting off, making dinner, and hanging out with my dog and my parents. You know, which is nothing wrong with that, but 27 years old, like I need to be out there meeting people, networking, connecting, growing, like trying to figure out ways to get better and just being a 27-year-old, you know?
What would you say in reflection though, like, and I'm 99.9999% sure this is exactly what you're saying. I just want to make sure we put a bow on it. Everything that's happened has been God.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Like that's what you believe.
I believe. And it's such a hard topic for me, dude, because I've struggled with my faith a lot over the years. Because, you know, it's really easy to have faith when things are going good. But to have faith when things are going bad, I think that's a true testament to how much faith you have. And that's one thing I really tried to dive into when I moved home is I was really, like I wasn't in a bad place. I was just low. I was just down on my luck, not feeling a whole, like I had a lot of energy from the ketone job, which was awesome, but I still had a long way to go to get where I wanted to be. So I was just down on my luck, you know, and I think that like, I don't know. I think that kind of forced me to really look to God because I'm like, dude, like I've grown so much over the last 4 or 5 years in Austin, kicked the drug addiction, did 7 Ironmans, you know, like grew my community, networked my community. Like I just grown so much, and to find myself back in the room that I grew up in was just like, bro, like is there something here that I'm missing? Like, is this an opportunity for me to get better so that way I can come back the best version of myself? Or is this a sign that I'm going backwards? Like, I don't know, you know, and I didn't have anybody to tell me that. So that forced me, without having you and Brett there, without having anybody to confide in, I had to figure it out. I had to sit in my thoughts that night. I had to lose sleep. I had to wake up and go on long runs by myself with no music, thinking about all of these things. And unfortunately, dude, just like 100-miler, the only way you're ever going to learn those things and figure those things out is by doing it.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to do it. I didn't want to do it. I had to be forced into a situation that forced me to do it.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for that. I'm moving back next month, baby, and we're running this shit home, dog.
Yeah. No, and I love that. Yeah, dude. It's what you said though holds so much truth. Faith is one of the easiest things to grasp when life is good. God did this. Look what God gave me. Look how God's blessed me, you know. But in the moments where you're like something gets taken away, you get pulled away, you're like, God, what happened? What happened, man? And that's been the hardest part of my faith. And we should probably do a separate episode on faith because I think Addict's got a different type of faith, dude.
I'm here till Sunday.
Yeah. But it's this thought of Dude, and I want to tell people this. This might be crazy, but like, it's okay to be mad at God.
100%.
I mean, recently, for me, something that I'd prayed on for the last 5 years, right? I thought it was happening.
Yeah.
And then even while it was happening, I was praying. I mean, the closest I've ever been to God, right? In that way, in my prayer life of like, dude, show me if this is it. Like, keep me tapped in, keep me looped in, like, keep me, show me. I'll leave nothing on the table. I'll give you all of it. And I was doing that. And then it went away. And my first reaction to that was like, dude, why would you let me get that deep? If you knew that was the move, right? That's where my first initial anger stemmed from. It's like, really, God? Everything I'm trying to do, how I've shown up, the people I'm trying to serve, I've asked for this one thing. I don't want anything else. I've asked for this one thing. And you let me stay in it, and then you take it away? So, dude, I the first 2 days, that's really the emotion, was anger. And it wasn't at a person, it was at God. But you know what? This is why we go through hard things. I had to remind myself of, the day I got sober, almost 5 years ago. And it was like, I was mad at God then too. I'm like, dude, really? Right? But what happened and the shift that took place is like, no, we're not mad at God. We're deflecting. This is the problem. I wasn't listening to God. I was listening to myself. And God finally said, okay, if you're not going to hear me and you're not going to listen, I'll do what needs to be done. And you can be mad at me, but I need you to look in the mirror. And again, it takes that moment in the bathroom. For me, I don't know what the hell it is.
No, dude, I wanted to touch on that when you brought that up, because there's something about looking in the mirror, dude. For me, at least, for us addicts, how many times, dude, have you gone into the bathroom to rip a key bump? 6:30 in the morning, maybe you've been up for 2 days, maybe you've been up for 3 days.
Right.
And you look at yourself and you don't even fucking recognize the man in the mirror. So for me, like, I'm always looking in the mirror, bro. Even if it's just to check myself out, fix my hair, see if my triceps are popping out today. I'm always looking in the mirror. And I like how you mentioned that, because when I got to 75 with Griffin, I went into the bathroom to take a shit, pardon my language, and I looked into the mirror, and this was after that stretch where I just cooked, and I looked in it and I was like, dude, you're about to finish this fucking thing. Like, you got 25 miles left, dog. You can do that all day. And just looking in the mirror, seeing yourself, seeing the creases on your skin, your eyes, just bloodshot red, the salt stain coming down your forehead, your hair popping out of your hat all awkwardly. You got stains on your shirt, and you're looking at yourself, and you're like, this is me. Like, I can do this shit. And it's just, I can't even put into words almost how powerful that is, especially that late into a race. Getting to see yourself, see how you look, and then know that you're going to finish it.
Well, I'll give you some wild shit, dude. The mirror, man. The answer's always in the mirror, right? I grew up, Grandpa used to always say, the answer's in the dirt, right? That's true. That holds truth. The answer's always in the mirror, too. This morning, I'm working out. I'm like sitting like a slush on what I'm doing. This morning, I'm working out, though.
Getting comfy.
And go in there, and I'm looking in the mirror. And I'm like, you're good, dude. Like, you're good. We've came back from way darker. And while I'm looking in the mirror, I see someone who I would have never known if it wasn't from a previous circumstance in my life, right? And it was this person's idol. And I look in the mirror, and that person is working out in the gym. That's what I see in the mirror.
Damn.
And I was like,
the person you wanted to become 5 years ago when you
not
got
me.
clean.
The person that was in my life that's no longer there. It was their idol. I took this person to see them speak in a different state, right? Like, all these different synchronicities, if you will. But I look in the mirror and I see myself. I'm like, dude, you're gonna be all right. You're gonna be all right. And I look and I see her. And I'm like, oh no, dude, this is right where you need to be. Right? It's all these little things. People think I'm crazy. People think you're crazy. I don't really give a fuck anymore.
I like being crazy, bro. It's a hell of a lot better than being average, honestly.
Again, and we can wrap it with this actually in 3, 2, 1. I'm gonna give it to you like this. Stop trying to fit in. Fit the fuck out. That's it.
Bro, straight up, I'll tap one more thing on that. Dude, show up your 100% true self. Don't ever change for anybody. Don't ever change your personality for anybody. Because if you show up 100% who you are and who you're truly supposed to be, the right people will follow.
It has to be that way.
You can't. If you sugarcoat it or cover it up, you're only going to attract the wrong crowd, and it's going to hurt you down the road. Show up the 100% true self you can be, and the right people will fall in.
We can wrap it on that, dude.
Fucking A, baby.
Appreciate you guys listening and tuning in on today's episode of the Ain't Dead Yet podcast. Shout out Sun Life Organics. Shout out Noble Origins Protein. Shout out Ketone IQ.
Which you can get at Sun Life Organics.
Right. All of it.
All of it.
So
all of it, yeah.
Just go to Sun Life.
That's full circle moment right there.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I know you appreciate the opportunity to share more of your story and help others. And we'll catch you on the next one.
We're just getting started.
Let's rip.